So, welcome everyone. Now we'll do new chapter in mathematics called linear inequalities. To understand basically this topic, linear inequality, you need to understand a subject called operation research. Okay, there's subject called operation research. The subject you will study primarily in your statistics and mathematics in class 12, U second, or gradually in post graduation level you'll study this subject again, okay, in MBA or MCOM. So this linear inequality chapter what we have in CA foundation, primarily you need to learn two things here. One is called formulation of linear programming equation, formulation of LPP equation. Okay, this is the one thing you need to learn here. Okay, LPP stands for linear programming problems. So you need to learn how you can write an equation. Okay, whenever there's a LPP scenario given to you, the scenario of constraint is given to you, how you can formulate the equation. That is the one thing you need to learn. Next thing is that how we can solve LPP equation, okay, by using graphical method. By using graphical method how we can solve this LPP equation. These are the two things what primarily we'll try to learn in this chapter called linear inequality. So the first thing what I'll try to teach you how you can create this LPP equation. So for that I have made a series of PPTs which you can refer for preparing working on this LPP equation. Okay, like this all there's a how this subject came in picture. That is all about. I told you about operation research. It actually came during Second World War time. Okay, so by the person called McCaughey in 1940. Okay, the reason for bringing this subject was during World War II, when England was losing the war front against the German. So then military management of UK, they called the scientists from all the disciplines and organized them into a team to assist them in solving strategic and tactical problems related to air and defense of their country. So that time, probably the subject came in picture, where the objective of this subject was mainly to formulate strategies which can help the country to come out of the crisis situation. So this subject basically teaches to use or to work on the optimal utilization of resources. The subject mainly talk about optimal utilization of resources. The subject mainly talks about how best we can use the resources. So whenever we are working on a business model, and if our objective is to get profit, then what strategies can we develop so that we can maximize the profit? And if our objective is to work on the cost, then what strategies we can develop to minimize the cost? That is what this subject talked about. So the subject is basically it is a scientific method of formulating specific proposals and plan for aiding quantitative decision on optimal utilization of scarce resources. So all this is being given here. So these all things are not important for you. What is important that how you can formulate the equation. This is what you need to learn here. Okay, so if you see this problem one, there's a manufacturer is there. It produces two types of model M1 and M2. Okay, there's a manufacturer is there. It is manufacturing two types of model M1 and M2. Okay, each model of type M1 require 4 hours of grinding and 2 hours of polishing. So when you are manufacturing this M1 and M2, so some process is being done. One process called grinding, and the another process is called polishing. Okay, so when you talk about M1 require 4 hours of grinding and 2 hours of polishing, where each model of M2 requires 2 hours of grinding and 5 hours of polishing, where each model of M2 require 2 hours of grinding and 5 hours polishing that I already wrote. The manufacturer has two grinders. Now manufacturer has two grinder and they have three polishers. Okay. So then what is given? Then they are given that each grinder can work 40 hours. Okay. So if you talk about total time you can use them. So one grinder can work 40 hours. You have two grinders. So they can work for 80 hours. You're getting me right. And each polisher can work 60 hours in a week. Okay. So if you have three polishers means total time you can use them is 180 hours in a week. Clear everyone? Profit on M1. If you talk about profit on M1 is rupees 3 and profit on M2 is rupees 4. Okay, so 1 unit on M1, you are getting a profit of rupees 3 and 1 unit of M2, you are getting a profit 4. Whatever is produced in a week is sold in the market. Whatever you produce in a week, you sell in the market. So how should the manufacturer allocate his production capacity to the two types of model so that he can make the maximum profit in a week? So whenever you are trying to solve this LPP kind of equation, okay, whenever you are trying to solve so whenever you're trying to solve the LPP kind of equation, you need to consider decision variable. You need to think about decision variable. Decision variable. You need to think about decision variable. Okay, so what are my decision variable? My decision variable is let x1. What is x1? X1 is the unit of model M1 which I manufacture in a week. Which I will manufacture in a week. That is basically my x1. What is my x2? X2 are basically the unit of M2 which I'll manufacture in a week. So actually I'm manufacturing x1 unit of M1 and x2 unit of M2. Okay, they are my decision variable. Okay, so what is the question? I hope you are getting the question. Question is that how much they can produce, manufacture. So anyone, if you are doing a business, you do business with a sole objective to maximize the profit, right? So here I'm doing business where 1 unit of M1 I'm getting 3 rupees profit, 1 unit of M2 I'm getting 4 rupees profit. So how much can I manufacture? So if I'm manufacturing X1 unit of M1 and X2 unit of M2, so my objective function will be maxima of Z is equal to 3x1 plus 4x2. This will be my objective function. This will be my objective function. Always whenever we write LPP equation, we write your objective function. So your objective function is either maxima or either minima. So here my objective function is maxima, that I want to maximize this value. How much you want to maximize? So maxima of Z is equal to 3x1 plus 4x2. Then what you do? You want to maximize this, right? I want like the if you notice in this problem, they have given time period. Okay, they have given a time period of a week. Okay, so you cannot manufacture infinite units, right? Infinite units of M1 and infinite unit of M2. You can only manufacture limited unit of M1 and M2, right? So let I manufacture X1 unit of M1 and X2 unit of M2. So my objective function would be maximum of Z is equal to 3x1 plus 4x2. You're getting in a week. This much I manufacture. Subject to constraints. Subject to constraint. So whatever you are gonna manufacture, If you manufacture this much, you'll get the profit, maximum profit. What is your constraint? That you cannot use grinding for more than 80 hours. So you'll write this 4x1 plus 2x2 grinding I cannot use for more than 80 hours, less than or equal to 80. Similarly, I'll write 2x1 plus 5x2 is less than or equal to 180. You're getting me? And the last we'll write whatever x1, x2 you're manufacturing, that should be greater than or equal to 0. This what you are seeing, this is called LPP equation. This is what we call as linear programming problems. So whenever you see linear programming problem, whenever you are seeing linear programming problem, whenever you are seeing linear programming problem, so whenever we are trying to formulate LPP equation, so to formulate the LPP equation, the first thing what we write the objective function. We write the objective function. So your objective function is either maxima of z or either minima of z. Z is just an integer. So whatever is your input, you want to maximize it. So while reading the question, you'll understand. If they talk about profit, revenue, and all, you want to maximize it. If they're talking about cost and all, you want to minimize it. So that would be your objective function. So before you write the objective function, you should know your decision variables. Decision variables are basically those variables which are impacting your decisions. So like what you are gonna manufacture, what you're gonna do, so how many units of that. That is what we use in decision variable. And then nothing in this world come for free. Always there's a constraint is there. So we'll write subject to constraint. What all constraints are there? We make a note of those constraints. Okay, and then finally we end with writing non-negativity restriction, that whatever your decision variables are there, they should be positive. Means because you're trying to bring the real life into mathematics. So if you're trying to bring the real life into mathematics, the mathematics may give you negative value, because for mathematics, x1, x2 would be integers. To make sure that the mathematics should work at align with the real life, I just put whatever my constraints are there, make sure they give you positive output. Clear, right? Anyone, any question?
No, sir.
Try this question, second one. Everyone read this problem. Try how will you solve this. Contribution is the synonyms of profit. If you know accounts, contribution is basically your revenue minus total variable cost. So here it doesn't matter, you can consider contribution as a profit one. See this question. A firm makes two types of furniture, chair. A firm makes two types of furniture, chair and table. The contribution of each product is calculated by accounting department. That for chair it is 20 rupees. So if I write here contribution, so for the chair the contribution is, for the chair the contribution is 20 rupees, and for the table it is 30 rupees. Both the product are processed on three machine M1, M2, M3. The time required in hour by each product and the total hour available per week. So these are the time, how much you need. This is available hour per week, it is given to you. So again, I'll write my decision variable. What I'll write my decision variable? I'll write my decision variable that I'll manufacture X1 unit of, I'll manufacture X1 unit of chair per week, and I'll manufacture X2 unit of table per week. Okay. So my maximum of Z will be 20x1 plus 30x2. Subject to constraints. What all constraint I'll face? Subject to constraint. The first constraint I'll face is on machine M1. That M1 I cannot use more than 36 hours in a week. So I'll write this as 3x1 plus 3x2 less than or equal to 36. Second constraint I'll write 5x1 plus 2x2 less than or equal to 50. Third constraint I'll write is 2x1 plus 6x2 is less than or equal to 60. Where whatever my x1, x2 are there, that should be greater than or equal to 0. Anyone, any doubt? Any doubt, anyone?
No, sir.
Try this. Anyone, any doubt? If you want, I'll send you this PPT. You can try these questions by yourself. Anyone, tell me the answer. Third one, a company manufactures two products A and B. A company manufactures two products A and B. These products are processed in the same machine. It takes 10 minutes to process one unit of product A and 2 minutes to process one unit of product B. And the machine operates for 35 hours in a week. Okay, the total time. So the two products are there, A and B. Okay, if I talk about the time, so to make one unit of A, you need 10 minutes. To make one unit of B, you need 2 minutes. And the total time what you have is 35 hours. So these data is in minutes, so I convert 35 hour also in minutes. So it become, I think, 2100 minutes. So this become total time is 2100 minutes. Product A require 1 kg and B require 0.5 kg of raw material per unit. So product A require 1 kg, product B require 0.5 kg of raw material per unit, the supply of which is 600 kg per week. You're getting it, right? The supply, the market constraint on B is known to have minimum of 800 units per week. That when you're manufacturing B, you have to make sure that B should be manufactured more than 800 units. So B, when you're manufacturing, you have to manufacture B minimum of 800 units per week. Okay, there again, all the calculation they're talking in the term of per week. If you understand, product A cost 5 rupees and sold at 10 rupees. So if you A cost you 5 rupees, sold at 10 rupees. If you see this, A here cost you 5 rupees and you're selling it for 10 rupees. So how much profit you're making on A? on 1 unit of A, that is 5 rupees. Can you understand this? Product A, you are buying, you are costing you 5 rupees and you are selling for 10 rupees. So the profit on 1 unit on A is how much? 5 rupees. That is your profit. And B cost you 6 rupees and you're selling at 8 rupees. How much profit you're making? 2 rupees. Any doubt, anyone? So
No.
determine the number of units of A and B per week to maximize the profit. So you want to maximize the profit, right? Per week data. So you write your decision variable, let x1 unit of product A manufactured per week, let x1 data, x1 unit of product A manufactured per week, and x2 unit of product B, x2 unit of product B manufactured per week. Okay, so your objective function will be maxima of Z. On 1 unit of A, you're getting 5 rupees profit, so 5x1. On 1 unit of B, you're getting 2 rupees profit plus 2x2. So this would be your objective function. It's not visible, I think, properly. Which color should I take here? Black would, I think black would be better. So maxima of Z, maxima of Z. Yeah. So maxima of Z, that will be 5x1 plus 2x2 subject to constraint. What all constraint you have subject to constraint that that this machine, no, you cannot use more than 2100 minute per week. So you will write 10x1 plus 2x2, that will be less than or equal to 2100. Then raw material you can't use more than 600 kg. So x1 plus 0.5 x2 is less than or equal to 600 kg, and then it is given that x2 you have to manufacture minimum 800 units. And then finally you can write your x1, x2 should be greater than or equal to 0. Non-negativity restriction. Clear, everyone? Anyone, any doubt?
Can you explain subject to constraint once again?
What constraint? That
This one's subject to
last
constraint.
one.
Yeah.
That what is given now, that market constraint on product B is known to be minimum of 800 unit per week. So whenever you here, what is written, that the constraint on the market means that much is the demand in the market, that when you're manufacturing B, you have to manufacture minimum of 800 units. Minimum of 800 units. So X2 should be greater than or equal to 800. Yeah. Clear, everyone? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Forget all this, See this question, example 2. Whatever I did, just do the same way. Solve this question. Tell me the LPP equation for this. Exactly same. The first problem, what I did, it was same like this. Are you getting what equation will you get for this? See this question. If you see this equation, example 2, if you see this example 2, what is given here, that a manufacturer produces two products A and B and his machine operate for 24 hours a day. Okay, so all the 24 hours his machine is working. Production on A required 2 hours of processing, okay, in machine M1. Okay, so a company is manufacturing two products A and B. Okay, so the machine works 24 hours a day. A requires 2 hours of processing in machine 1 and 6 hours in machine 2. So A requires 2 hours of processing in machine 1 and 6 hours in machine 2. And B requires 6 hours of processing in machine 1 and 2 hours of processing in machine 2. Okay, and then machine, the total time you can use a machine, you can use first machine for 24 hours, second machine also for 24 hours, and the profit is given to you. Profit is given to you. Profit on 1 unit of machine A is 5 rupees. Profit on 1 unit of machine 2 is 2 rupees. Clear, everyone? So question is that how many unit of each product should he manufacture in a day to maximize the profit? So same way, guys. So again, my decision variable will be what? My decision variable will be let x1 is the number of units of product A, what this will produce in a day. Okay, are you getting me? All the data here they're talking about day. Can you understand? Day. So they're talking about day wise. So here the time constraint is day. So let x1 is the number of units of product A, what is being manufactured by the machine in a day. Let x2 is the number of units of product B, which is manufactured by machine in a day. So here I'll write my constraint as maxima of z is equal to what I want to, whenever you write the objective function, you're trying to maximize something. So what I want to maximize, I want to maximize profit. On 1 unit of A, I'm getting 5 rupees profit. So if I manufacture 1 unit, I'll get 5x1 profit. On 1 unit of B, I'm getting 2 rupees profit. If I'm manufacturing x2 unit, I'll get 2x2 profit. So maximum of Z is equal to 5x1 plus 2x2. Subject to constraint. What all constraint I'm having? Subject to constraint. First constraint is that machine 1 I cannot use for more than 24 hours. Similarly, machine 2 I cannot use them. Machine 2 also I cannot use them for more than 24 hours. So 2x1 plus 6x2 is less than or equal to 24. Similarly, 6x1 plus 2x2 is less than or equal to 24. Clear, everyone? Clear? And then I'll write my non-negativity restriction that x1 and x2 that should be greater than or equal to 0. Fine. Now this equation what I get, this equation what we get, this is called as linear programming problem. This is called LPP equation. Okay, now how to solve this equation? You can solve this equation by two ways. Actually, there's one more way is there, that is called solver in MS Excel. Okay, so in MS Excel, you have something called solver. If you use solver, you can again solve it very easily. Okay, I have made a lot of videos in my YouTube channel where I have solved these kind of questions by using solver also. Anyway, So what is important for you, if you can understand how you can solve this question by using graphical method or by using simplex method or by using solver. Simplex method is not in your course for CA foundation. Only what is there in your course is graphical method. So we learn how we can solve this equation by using graphical method. If I'm trying to solve this equation by using graphical method, solving solving if I'm trying to solve this problem by graphical method, if I'm trying to solve this problem by graphical method, if I'm solving this problem by graphical method, okay, so what you do, first write your constraint. Your constraint first is 2x1 plus 6x2 is less than or equal to 24, right? So ignore the inequality sign for the time being. So let your equation 1, suppose this equation 1, let your equation 1 is 2x1 plus 6x2 is equal to 24. For the time being, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to draw the straight line curve. I hope you remember coordinate geometry. So the using the same concept of coordinate geometry, I'm trying to draw the straight line curve here. So basically, I want to draw the line of this graph. 2x1 plus 6x2 is equal to 64. So if I put x1 0, then x2 will be 4, right? Similarly, if I put x2 0, the x1 will be 12. So you can find any value of x1 and x2 because I hope you remember coordinate geometry, the quadrant system and all. We are just simply using that to draw the line here. So the first equation is 2x1 plus 6x2 is equal to 64. Similarly, your second equation was 6x1 plus 2x2 is less than or equal to 24. Okay, let this is again, let your equation 2 is like 6x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 24. So if you put x1 0, x2 will be 12, and if you put x2 0, x1 will be 4. Fine. So why you're putting 0 and all? You can put anything, no? You can put any value of x1, you'll get simultaneous value of x2. Okay, so the reason of putting 0 just to make the situation simple. Ultimately, I want two things I want here, that I want all my what you say coordinates in integers. Okay, next thing what I want, the next thing I want is to do it as simple as possible. So here I could have assumed anything. I could have assumed let x1 is equal to 3. Anything I can assume. So if x1 is equal to 3, then 6 into 3 plus 2x2 is equal to 24. So 18 plus 2x2 is equal to 24. So 2x2 is equal to 6. So x2 is equal to 3. So then I'll get the answer as 3 comma 3. I can do anything. Like you can assume anything. You don't have to assume what I'm assuming. I'm assuming x1 0, x2 is equal to 12, and x2 0, x1 equal to 4. This is what I assume. You can assume anything, and you will get the simultaneous value of the other variable. Ultimately, you need to plot the graph based on these coordinates. You're getting me right, everyone? Any anyone any doubt? You're getting it right. So I hope nobody have any doubt. So what I'll do, I'll simply draw the graph. Before I draw the graph, I just give you introduction. I hope you know this. This is your x-axis. Okay, so let this is one my x1 axis, and let this is for me is x2 axis. Okay, so all positive value of x1 will lie this side. This is all you've done in your schooling. Minus x1, minus x2, minus x3. Okay, all positive value of x2 will lie here. Okay, negative value of x2 will lie down. Clear? I hope you know this. So positive value of x1 and x2 lies in this quadrant. This is called first quadrant. Okay, then second quadrant, negative value of x1 and positive value of x2 will lie here. This is your second quadrant. Okay, in third quadrant, when I talk about third quadrant, in the case of third quadrant, I have negative value of x1 and negative value of x2. And when I talk about fourth quadrant, I have positive value of x1 and negative value of x2. Clear, everyone? Anyone, any doubt? Till here, anyone have any doubt? So because if you observed the values what I got, 0, 4, 12, 0, 0, 12, 4, 0, because the value what I got, you if you observe in both the values x1, x2, everywhere whatever the x1, x2 I got, all are positive. So why should I waste my time drawing all the four quadrant? So here while drawing the diagram, I'll only draw the first quadrant. Clear, everyone? And you can see so here if you see all the x1, x2 what you're getting, all are positive here. So why should I waste my time drawing all the four quadrants? I'll only draw one quadrant, my first quadrant, and I'll try to interlocate my points in this first quadrant only. Clear, everyone? So if I draw my coordinates again, if you see this, if I draw my coordinates again, this is suppose 1, this is 2. How much maximum value I need to take? How much maximum value can I take?
12.
12. So you can think about that also. 2, 4. Here, why you are not started with 1 and all? Because I did not started with 1 because then I need to go very further for 12. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 like this. That discretion will be yours. Okay. You can take any 2 points. I hope you know how to draw a line. If I get 2 coordinates, I can draw a line. So same wise here, take 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, like that, 14, whatever. So now if you observe your first line, it requires a coordinate 0, 4, 0, 4. This is 0, 4. And next one is 12, 0. Next one is 12, 0. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll draw a line on this. Now I'll draw a line on this. 1 minute. Just join this properly. let me draw a line. So this is basically the line of the first equation. Your first equation is 2x1 plus 6x2 equal to 24. This is basically the line of the equation 2x1 plus 6x2 is equal to 24. But what I want, I did not wanted this, right? This is not what I wanted. What I wanted the region. This is what I wanted. I don't wanted 2x1 plus 6x2 equal to 24. Then why I did this? Just to draw the line. Once the line is drawn, what is now I'm looking for? I'm looking for this equation that 2x1 plus 6x2 that should be less than or equal to 24, where my x1 and x2 should be greater than or equal to 0. So here, if you understand the region, what you will get, this will be the region. If you understand, because this side will be either x1 will be negative or either x2 would be negative. Your second quadrant, your x1 is negative, your x2 is positive. In third quadrant, both are negative. Fourth quadrant, x1 positive, x2 negative. So these cannot be the acceptance region, because my x1 and x2 both should be positive. That is what we write in non-negative jurisdiction, right? We are trying to bring the reality into mathematics, or mathematics into reality. So now the second equation is same like this: 0, 12. Let me change the color. 0, 12. This is 0, 12, and 4, 0. This is 4, 0. Again, let me plot the graph for this. Fine. Now, if you see your acceptance region for second graph, this would be your acceptance region. Can you understand this? Why not this? Why not this? Why not this? You need to see the sign. You need to see the sign, guys. For this, you second, if you see the second equation, you want 6x1 plus 2x2, that should be less than or equal to 24. Are you getting me? If I would have asked you more than or equal to 24, if I would ask you more than or equal to 24, then this would be your region. Are you getting me? So now when we do this, when we done this, then what we do, we find something called feasible region. We'll find something called feasible region. What is feasible region? Feasible region is basically the area which is common between the two lines. The area which is common between the two lines, that is called as feasible region. You drawn two lines, right? What is the common area between the two lines? This is called as feasible region. You have to find this feasible region. Feasible region is the line, is the area which is common between the two lines. So if you see this is 0, 0 coordinate. This is what? This is 0, 4, right? See, this is 4, 0. And what is this D? This D, not C, this D. D is basically the point where these two lines intersected. So the first line was 2x1 plus 6x2, 2x1 plus 6x2 equal to 24. The second line is 6x1 plus 2x2. Second line is 6x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 24. So what is this point D? D is the point where these two lines intersected. So how I can do this? If I add them, I'll get 8x1 plus 8x2 is equal to 48, right? So I'll get x1 plus x2 is equal to 6. I got x1 plus, if I'm adding them, x1 plus x2 is equal to 6. So this is my third equation. So my first equation is x1 plus, third equation x1 plus x2 is, if you multiply with 2 on third, if you multiply with 2, you'll get 2x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 12. And your first equation is 2x1 plus 6x2 is equal to 24. You solve this, you will get 4x2 is equal to 12. You will get x2 equal to 3. You will get x2 equal to 3. So automatically x1 will be equal to 3 because x1 plus x2 equal to 6. So this coordinate is 3 comma 3. So this is your feasible region. What is basically a feasible region? Feasible region is basically the region which is common between the two lines. You're getting me right? Till here, anyone have doubt? I'll end this question to end the class. Till here, anyone have doubt? So basically what we do, whenever we have to solve the question by using graphical method, you have to understand that if you're trying to solve this LPP equation by using graphical method, you cannot use graphical method for more than two variables. Then you need 3D geometry. 3D geometry is not there in your course. Max to max 2D geometry is there in your course, which we solve by using coordinate geometry. Correct? So under those scenario, we solve the problem by using simplex method. If you're really interested to learn about simplex method, that is there in your, I don't think it is there in your 12th also maths, that you'll study in higher finance or higher maths. If you want, you can go through my YouTube videos. There I solve the problem, same kind of problem by using simplex method also. But again, they are complicated. They're totally will totally confuse you. They'll grill your brain. So you can go through them if you want. So if I'm trying to solve the question by using graphical method, you'll get different coordinates. Once you get different coordinate, based upon these coordinates, you have to draw the line. And then you have to find the feasible region. Feasible region is the line. What is feasible region? Is the region which is the common between all the lines. So I get all the four coordinates. These coordinates, what you get, will call this coordinate as a corner point. Why corner point? That I don't know. That is what I'm studying and that I have heard of. I'm using the same thing. So A means 0, 0. B, coordinate B. Coordinate B is 0, 4. Coordinate B is 0, 4. Coordinate C is 4, 0. Coordinate D is 3, 3. What is your objective function? My objective function is maxima of Z is equal to maxima of Z is equal to 5x1 plus 2x2. 5x1 plus 2x2. I want to maximize this value, right? So if I put A and B here, 5 into 0 plus 2 into 0, I'll get 0. If I put 5 into 0 plus 2 into, I'll get 8. Okay, if I put 5 into 4 plus 2 into 0, I'll get 20. If I put 5 into 3 plus 2 into 3, I'll get 15 plus 6, 21. So the maximum value of Z you're getting at the coordinate 3, 3. So means your answer for this problem, is 3, 3. And your maximum of Z is equal to 21. What should be the value of x1? You should take 3. x2 value 3. So how much unit of x1 I should manufacture per day? I should manufacture 3 unit of product A. I should manufacture 3 unit of product B. Okay, so coming back to the question, how much unit of A and B should I manufacture per day? Okay, how much unit of A and B should I manufacture per day? So I should manufacture 3 unit of product A. I should manufacture 3 unit of product B. Then I'll get the maximum profit of 21 unit. Clear everyone? Anyone have any doubt? Please ask me before I conclude today class. Clear everyone?
Yes, sir.
Much from the today class. We'll continue discussion next class. Thank you everyone. Take care. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye everyone.